my incredible educators, passionate learners, multilingual explorers, and every single person who has ever juggled languages at home, at school, or in the world. Welcome back to another powerful episode of the Languages Pedagogy podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and today we're diving into something that's been quietly revolutionizing how we think about language learning: translanguaging. Now, before you picture a dusty theory hidden in a linguistic textbook, let me stop you right there. Translanguaging is alive. It's happening. In your classroom, in your family, WhatsApp chats, WeChat chats, on the streets of every multilingual city, and in the thoughts of every bilingual kid who seamlessly switches from one language to another without even thinking or blinking. And the wildest part, many educators still don't realize how powerful it is or how to leverage it. So, for the next following minutes, we're going deep. And when I say deep, I mean we're going to break it down from roots to wings. The theory, the practice, the controversy, the classroom strategies, the students' voices, and yes, the pedagogy behind it all. So, get comfortable. As I always say, grab your tea or your mate, your coffee, your cha, because whatever language you bring to this table, it's welcome here. So, let's get started.
Woo! Let's go!
Part 1. What is translanguaging? Let's begin at the root, okay? Translanguaging isn't just code switching. It's not just using two languages in one sentence. It's a way of being, a cognitive tool, a pedagogical philosophy. Well, let's go a little bit to the books now. Coined by Welsh educator Ken William in the 1980s, and expanded by scholars like Ophelia Garcia and Lee Wei, translanguaging refers to the process by which multilingual speakers use their full linguistic repertoire to make meaning, express themselves, and learn. It's not about switching between language A and B. It's about going beyond the boundaries that traditional linguistics and education system have imposed. So, what does that mean in practice? Well, it means that when your student writes notes in Spanish, things in Arabic, answers in English, and throws in a Korean emoji for flavor, they're not being sloppy or confused. They're actually demonstrating a sophisticated command of their multilingual toolkit. Translanguaging challenges the idea that languages live in separate boxes in our minds. It sees language not as separate systems, but as an integrated resource. And that is radically powerful in the classroom. Part 2. From monolingual norms to multilingual realities. Let's be honest. Most educational systems, especially those influenced by colonial histories, are built on monolingual ideologies. English-only classroom, French-only immersion, Mandarin-only instruction. And while that structure may be well-intentioned, it often silences the very linguistic diversity that learners bring to the room. When a teacher says, "only English in this class," what does that do to the kid who thinks in Tagalog, jokes in Swahili, and prays in Urdu? It splits their identity. Yes. It forces them to perform in a fractured version of themselves. Translanguaging says, Bring your full self. It's not about replacing English, French, or any other target language. It's about using all languages to scaffold learning, to support critical thinking, and to honor students' identities. Part 3. Translanguaging in action. Real classroom moments. Let me paint a picture. Imagine a 4th grade classroom in New York City. Students come from homes that speak Mandarin, Bengali, Spanish, Haitian, any language, Korean, so many, right? The teacher introduces a science lesson on ecosystems. Instead of sticking to rigid English-only norms, she says, talk to your partner in whatever language helps you explain the idea. Suddenly, the room buzzes with life. Kids explain complex food chain ideas in Mandarin to each other, jot down notes in Spanish, ask questions in English, right? And guess what? When they come back to share their findings, they do so more confidently because they weren't blocked by language. They used the language that unlocked their thinking. That is translanguaging pedagogy. Part 4. The cognitive science behind translanguaging. Now, for the brainy part, research in bilingualism shows that bilingual individuals don't turn one language off when using another. Instead, both languages are active, always. The brain makes fast, context-based decisions about which word, which structure, which tone fits best. So when students translanguage, they're not being lazy. They're being neurologically efficient. Studies from cognitive science reveal that translanguaging can enhance working memory, boost metalinguistic awareness, improve problem-solving abilities, deepen conceptual understanding. In other words, it's not a shortcut. It's a cognitive strategy, one that taps into the full capacity of the multilingual brain. Part 5. The controversy, resistance, and misconceptions. Of course, not everyone's a fan, right? Many educators, administrators, and even parents have concerns about it. Isn't this going to delay their English acquisition? Won't this confuse them? Aren't we lowering standards? Well, let's address that. First, research shows that allowing translanguaging does not hinder language acquisition. On the contrary, it can actually accelerate it by lowering the affective filter, increasing engagement, and allowing students to access complex ideas earlier. Second, translanguaging doesn't mean chaos. It doesn't mean letting students only use their home language and ignoring the curriculum. It means strategically integrating all languages as a learning resource. And third, let's talk about standards. Whose standards are we talking about? Colonial standards? Monolingual standards? What if we measure success not by how closely a student mimics a native speaker, but by how effectively they can navigate, negotiate, and express ideas across languages? Part 6. Translanguaging strategies you can use tomorrow. Let's get practical now. How can you implement translanguaging in your classroom? Whether you're a teacher in a public school in Manila, an EAL coordinator in Toronto, or a language coach in Nairobi. Here are real, actionable strategies. 1. Flexible language use in group work. Allow students to collaborate in their preferred languages before reporting back in the target language. 2. Multilingual word walls. Create classrooms visual that reflect vocabulary in multiple home languages alongside the target language. 3. Dual language journals. Let students write half a page in English, half in their home language. Reflections, summaries, reactions. 4. Multilingual read alouds. Use bilingual books or have students read one paragraph in one language and paraphrase in another. 5. Parent engagement in home language. Encourage families to discuss school topics in their home language to support comprehension. 6. Scaffolded translation projects. Have students create bilingual glossaries, translate short texts, or subtitle videos. 7. Language portraits. Ask students to draw or map their languages. When they use each one, how they feel about them, and share with peers. Part 7. Voices from the classroom. Here's what some students say about translanguaging. When I can speak Tagalog in class, I feel like I don't have to leave part of myself at the door. This is a grade 8 student from the Philippines. We use Somali when we're stuck. Then we explain in English. That helps us understand the topic more. High school student from the UK. My teacher lets me write in Arabic first, then in French. It's like I get to warm up my brain. This is a 6th grader from Morocco. And here's what teachers are saying. Some, of course. Translanguaging gave my students permission to think deeply. This is an ESL teacher from Canada. I used to worry it was cheating. Now I see it's actually scaffolding. This is a science teacher from South Africa. It's not just about language. It's about honoring identity. A bilingual teacher from Texas. Part 8. Building a translanguaging, inclusive school culture. This isn't just about individual teachers. If you're a school leader, here's what you can do to make translanguaging part of the culture. Train teachers on the pedagogy and cognitive science behind it. Translate newsletters and announcements into home languages. Celebrate linguistic diversity during assemblies and events. Recruit multilingual staff or community license. Include home languages in assessments where possible. Resist English-only policies that silence students' identity or identities. When students see their language celebrated, not erased, they walk taller. They participate more. They learn better. Period. Translanguaging is not a trend, it's a truth. It reflects how real people use language in the real world. Flexibly, strategically, expressively. In business meetings, in classrooms, in kitchens, in poetry. It is a bridge, not a barrier. It is a resource, not a risk. It is a right, not a privilege. So, if you're teaching in a multilingual classroom, whether that's 3 languages or 30, you're not alone. You're not underprepared. You're not stuck between either or. You're standing at the edge of a revolution in education that says, every language counts. Every identity matters. Every student belongs. Let's build classrooms where kids don't have to check their mother tongue at the door. Let's build lessons that mirror the richness of the world. Let's stop asking, what language should I use? And start asking, what does this learner need to thrive? Because at the end of the day, translanguaging is not just a technique. It's a mindset, a philosophy, a quiet act of rebellion against exclusion. And it's exactly what our multilingual world needs. Until next time, keep teaching beyond borders, keep speaking across silences, and keep translanguaging your way to a more inclusive classroom.